Catching up on OU football. Sooners coming off a 10-3 finish, of course, following that Alamo Bowl loss. Brent Venables' season number 3 and season number 1, of course, in the much anticipated entry into the SEC. We got John Hoover here, of course, all Sooners on Fan Nation. John, what's going on today?
The usual, monitoring the transfer portal and any commitments and anything else that's coming down the pike. We had coach salaries last week, and boy, it never ends. College football, huh?
It does not end. So this one slipped by me. So that's why we got you here. Casey Thompson. So Oklahoma fans better be familiar. Of course, he led the Big 12 in touchdown passes a couple years ago at Texas. And he is a Sooner, so there is some competition there for one Jackson Arnold.
Yeah, I might not phrase it that way. The Jackson Arnold era has begun. It's Jackson's job for now until he leaves. Whether that's through graduation, through the NFL draft, or through the portal. The job right now belongs to Jackson Arnold. That's what you do with your five-star recruit who was a freshman starter in waiting and took over in the bowl game and threw for 361 yards and a bunch of touchdowns in the bowl game, fourth most ever in OU bowl history. So pretty good performance in his first career start. Casey Thompson comes in. Casey Thompson, who former starter at Texas, former starter at Nebraska, former starter at Florida Atlantic. Of course, his dad, famous for being a former starter for the Sooners back in the Wishbone days, at the end of the Wishbone days. He's going to be a Sooner now, and he's coming in. I think it's clear he is not under any impression that he's coming in to win the job. He probably, in his heart and mind, feels like he's going to, but I think the consensus on the coaching staff is that this job belongs to Jackson Arnold, and Oklahoma needs a quality backup. And frankly, there's nobody, and I mean nobody in the country, who's more qualified to come in and be Oklahoma's backup than Casey Thompson. He's a legacy guy. His big brother played here as well. He wants to finish the family legacy. He wanted to go to OU and play for Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley kind of slow played him a little bit, so he committed to Texas. Texas then offered Cam Rising. You know how that went. He went to Utah. Casey ended up going to Nebraska. It's just been, he's always wanted to come back to Oklahoma. There's always been this, you think they could get Casey Thompson? When he was at Nebraska, when he was looking to leave Nebraska, when he left Texas, everybody's like, you think they could get Casey Thompson? So now it has truly come full circle. 2024, Casey Thompson is Oklahoma's backup quarterback.
So all well stated right there. It's a sign of the times, a fourth team for a quarterback in Casey Thompson.
7 years.
And then, as you mentioned, in his heart of hearts, you got to think, if you're good enough to have started at Texas, and I mentioned 24 touchdown passes, led the Big 12 a couple seasons ago, and then go play at Nebraska and start, and you're just, hey, you're a competitor. If you've reached this level and you've had this kind of success, then you're a competitor and you want to have that shot. But Jackson Arnold has taken that first step in prime time to show that he is who everybody thinks he should be.
And he's a guy, if something happens to Jackson Arnold, he's literally the perfect backup. He's a guy that's got 5,000 career yards, 33 career starts. I mean, he knows what he's doing. He threw against Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry, a game that Oklahoma came back and somehow won. You remember that one? He threw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. He is not going to be blown away or overwhelmed or any of that when it comes to Oklahoma football. He's the perfect guy.
I believe that was the day that Spencer Rattler passed the baton to Caleb Williams.
That was 2021. Yeah, that's right. That's correct.
Yeah, big comeback for the Sooners that day. John, when we look at the rest of what's going on under Brent Venables' watch here in the offseason, Jake Roberts, a tight end from Baylor, Michael Tarquin, offensive lineman from USC. Does it appear as though the transfer portal, that they're accomplishing what they have set out to do?
Yeah, I think so. They're good. They're getting players that they needed. You know, quarterback, running back, wide receiver. And in Tarquin, they got a guy who's been a starter at Florida and USC. you know, they've got guys that are multiple year starters at multiple schools. So that's, you know, they got a big play wide receiver from Purdue, and I mean they're not they're being very choosy, being very selective in the transfer portal, and that's, if you're Oklahoma, I think their transfer portal exit is up to 21. A lot of those guys never played, you know, just looking for an opportunity. But a lot of those guys did play and were players and were actually being counted on in 2024. Not, I shouldn't say a lot. Some of them, a handful of them, were being hoped that you could come back in 24. Some of them, they wanted them back in 2024, but they hit the transfer portal. So the negative is 21 out. The positive is 12 in. And I think the vision for the coaching staff is that those 12 are going to come in and make an immediate impact, either raise the level of competition at their position or very likely start.
Billy Bowman, I see, and also Danny Stutzman, two of the better players that have made their decisions to come back. I'm seeing a bunch of guys returning. Anybody else out there still yet to make an NFL decision?
No, the deadline is passed, so they got everybody back that they're going to get. The 2024 academic schedule started Tuesday, and there was a snow day, so it actually started today. So the guys are in class. I think they did some distance learning or virtual learning on Tuesday. But yeah, they went to class today, the freshmen and the transfers, which, if you think about it, there's still two guys that are high school all-stars that are playing in the Polynesian Bowl, which is Friday. They're not able to start class this week with the rest of their classmates. There's some kids at Alabama who are entering the transfer portal. 25 now is the last number I saw. And some of them are thinking about Oklahoma and other schools as well that have already started classes. So classwork, starkly secondary in this case. Yeah, I'm going to miss a week of class or 2 weeks of class while I make out my decision to enter the transfer portal, exit the transfer portal, weigh all my options, and you're going to miss several weeks of class for some of these kids. So it's just college football in 2024.
Those Alabama and Washington players are out there, and now Arizona players to look over. Absolutely. Yep. John Hoover's here. We appreciate John, all Sooners on Fan Nation. Check it out. You can just look up John E. Hoover right here on YouTube and check out his podcast. When does the next one drop?
The new podcast dropped right before I got on with you, and it'll be on YouTube this evening.
John, we appreciate you being here. You mentioned a snow day. I don't have to ask you what the weather's like there because it's pretty much the same everywhere unless you live in one or two tropical places in this country. So very good. John, we appreciate you stopping by as always.
You got it, Mark. Appreciate it, man.